Okay, so heads up. I've never really done anything like this before, so forgive me if I'm a bit shaky. I wasn't really sure how to start this, but I'm just gonna try to jump into it and hope it works out. So, this particular video is going to be the first in a series I've planned out, and is meant to serve as a bit of an intro where I lay out some basic details. I just want to give a good idea of my intentions going into this series and what it's going to be like. It seemed a lot easier to lay out all the details here separately rather than taking the time to explain it at the start of every video. Again, I'm new to this and I'm just trying to figure out the best way to go about this type of thing. I would totally understand if you just want to head straight to the part where I actually start digging in and analyzing the show. In that case, you can probably just go ahead and skip to the next video. Now, I'm assuming that most people who got on this video have a basic idea about what Goblin Slayer is, but I still feel it best to give some background info for those who don't know or know very little. So Goblin Slayer is this dark fantasy series that originated from Japan. It's been adapted into a series of light novels, a manga series, and an anime series, which is the incarnation I'm primarily going to be talking about in these videos. Now, I'm sure for regular anime fans that sounds like a pretty familiar line of succession so far, the whole light novel to manga to anime thing. But, and I was surprised to find this out myself, the origin of Goblin Slayer actually goes back even further than the original light novel. See, Goblin Slayer first started out as this series of online posts consisting only of dialogue with some ASCII artwork. And for those curious about what ASCII art is, it basically refers to art made by arranging text symbols to form a picture. I don't know if that's like something a lot of people on the internet know about. I didn't know. I had to look it up the first time I saw it, so I thought I should explain it. I also found out there is actually a name for this specific type of thread format, but I didn't write that down in my notes. So I might add it in post if I find it later. Don't know. Anyway, I honestly found it really fascinating to learn just how far of a journey this series took to get to the making of the anime. While I could go into a bit more detail about that journey, what I really want to get to talking about is the end product. The overall history of the series might be a topic I come back to later, but I encourage those who are really curious to just go ahead and try to look it up on your own. There's only so much I can cover anyway. As for what the series is actually about, I mean, the title tells you pretty much all you need to know. It's about a guy who goes around slaying goblins. And it all takes place in a pretty average fantasy setting with magical creatures, a lot of medieval-ish elements. Obviously, I'm skimming over some details, but it works for a basic summary. So far, I'm sure it sounds like a pretty simple, standard fantasy story. But it's Goblin Slayer's particular execution that made this series stand out so much. Now, it's fair to say that the Goblin Slayer anime caused some waves when it first dropped way back in October of 2018, at least in the anime community. A lot of people really enjoyed it. A lot of other people really didn't. Both sides were very vocal about it. And overall, I'd say the usual critics and reviewers were pretty mixed. The first episode can be very dark and shocking. Some say too much so. It did manage to be the most watched anime of that season, at least according to the charts I saw from Crunchyroll. Now, as for my own personal feelings toward the anime, well, it has honestly become one of my favorite series of all time. And I don't say that lightly. I've seen a lot of the great classics, the must-watch anime series, and for me, Goblin Slayer has a seat among them. To me, this is just a very interesting, very entertaining, and very meaningful series. And so it's with these videos that I really hope to make it clear just what made this series so personally impactful to me. Maybe I can help others be able to put words to how it made them feel. However it was they felt about it. Maybe I can show the more, shall I say, passionate critics that it was able to have a positive impact on at least one person out there. And maybe, well, maybe I just felt I owed it to this show and all the people behind it to just openly declare my appreciation for this series, something that has come to mean so much to me. Now, as for how I'm going to do that, I swear I've rewritten the script for this so many times. At first, I was gonna go episode by episode, summarizing them and just stopping every now and then to pick out whatever I felt like analyzing. However, that ended up being insanely long. I felt I had to just keep going back and explaining the same points over and over again. It made it feel a bit messy to me. Since then, I've reworked it quite a bit. So yeah, going forward, keep in mind that this series is the shortened version. So now, instead of going through chronologically like I originally planned, I've sorted all the points I wanted to bring up into a couple of individual topics. Okay, maybe more than just a couple. Okay, honestly, I'm not even sure how many of these I'm going to be able to push out. I kinda maybe went a little overboard. Anyway, I like it this way too because I feel like going episode by episode, people would feel like they need to watch these videos in some kind of strict order. See, I really don't want that. Now, there will probably be some ideas I build upon through multiple videos. I'm still aiming for them to work independently. I'll try to approach each video as if it were the only video. I will also try to avoid going over the same scenes and same points over and over again, unless I feel it necessary. I just prefer the idea of people being able to jump around the videos as they like and just be able to easily skip around to the topics that interest them more. Plus, this way, it's not like you guys listening are just having the entire show narrated to you. I figure that'll be better for those listening who haven't seen the show but might want to check it out afterwards. But also, who really knows? I might switch some things up as I go along. I'm really not sure. Again, I'm new to this, so this might be a trial and error type of thing. Guess we'll just see. Okay, I'm about ready to wrap this little intro video up, but first I'm gonna throw in a couple of the standard warnings. I'll probably include them to a lesser extent at the beginning of each video, but I don't think it'll hurt to be extra clear. First off, a spoiler warning for Goblin Slayer, if that wasn't obvious. I'm also gonna throw in a mature content warning. I mean, maybe not for every video, but now I'm not gonna be like cursing throughout these videos, mostly because I'm not sure where I'm all putting them. So I figure it'd just be best to play it safe. There is a lot of violence in this show, but the thing I feel like I actually need to warn people more about is that I'm going to be talking about a lot of serious topics, some of which I know can be quite anxiety-inducing to certain people, so just keep that in mind. And lastly, I feel the need to remind everyone that these are just my personal opinions. Art is subjective. If you agree with me, that's cool. If you don't, that's also cool. We don't all need to think the same way. I think that those who disagree with me can still get something out of this video series. Hearing me talk about the show might change your mind about a couple of things. Or it could help you better understand why it didn't connect with you the same way. Again, either way, it's cool. So, that's pretty much all I have to say for the intro, so join me in the next video and we can finally get started for real.
The Goblin Slayer swung his blade, fierce wretchedness he now would purify. Goblin corpses he cut through as the heads flew high. Oh, courageous warrior, with a sword that's tempered in perfect silver, never will the blade betray its purpose or its way.